So that's cool. Now, what else do we want to do? So what about, let's make canvas, and we'll put it to scale with screen size, and I'll show you why. If I make a panel, let's go to 2D mode for a minute, and if we don't scale with screen size, if we do the constant pixel size, if I move things around, well, it's hard to show with one panel. You need a couple of panels, but it has an odd effect where it'll move things around. Where scale with screen size forces things to kind of squash and squish, which I mean you might not want, I guess. The other thing is this is by default to free aspect, which can give you some really, like, look at that, look at the aspect there. It's just weird, right? So often I go to, you can go 16:9. I just like I go to the 19. So get rid of this panel. But the important thing is we're going to put an FSM, and in it he's going to have a get owner, because this is how we're going to communicate from global objects. We're going to have a new global object, and we're just going to call it canvas. Now in the canvas I'm going to make a prefab, and I'm going to use, we could use sliders, or we could use images. There's many different ways we can do this. Maybe I'll just use a slider. We'll call this a health bar. Alright, and I'm going to get rid of the handle because the handle doesn't need to be there. That also means I need to get rid of the width of the handle and extend or put these back to 0, which means the fill, let's give it, you know, like a classic green health background. Let's give it, you know, maybe a green, but like a darker green. And then that way we have this little health bar. So size wise, I mean, it's pretty big. Maybe we'll just take it down like that. Perfect. So this health bar is literally just going to be a prefab just like that. I'm just going to prefab it. Boop. Done. Now, when we're going to go into our player, we're going to make a template, an FSM template. So we made an FSM, and we're going to place a next frame event, because we don't want to do this in the first frame, because when you want to access globals need that first frame to kind of more or less figure out who they are and identify themselves as a global. So if you try to access a global in the first frame, it'll fail. So this next frame event will allow us now that we can access the global pretty much right off the bat. I mean, we're only waiting one frame. So we want to create an object. We want to create a health bar under the parent of the canvas. We don't care about spawn point, but we're going to store it as health bar. And now that we have the health bar, we know that we're going to be on an object that has health, right? We have a health FSM. So let's get FSM int, right? And I guess I just use owner. We're going to go into the health, and we're going to grab health. And this is, we'll just call value. And we know the health max is, say, 5. Now you could put a max in the health if you have different things of you know, one thing's got 10 health, one thing's got 5 health. You're going to want to identify that, but we're just going 5 health as a basic. So I'm actually going to do a float operator, not an int operator, a float operator. And we're going to go the value divided by 5. and that's going to give us a percent of what our health is. And then I can slider set value. So the slider is our health bar that we've created up here, and the value is the percent. Now the other thing we need to do is, where do we put the health bar? So let's get position. Actually, no, let's do this in a different state. So that's where we're going to start off. It's going to default that to be good. So now we need to get position of our cells. So this is our own position, and this one's going to be every frame. And then in Unity, very important, is there's almost 3 worlds, right? We have our 3D realm. You also have the 2D realm, which is still kind of in the 3D realm, but it's 2D. It's slightly different. But you have this realm, which is this kind of the screen space, which is where like the mouse lives and stuff like that. So to communicate data from the mouse realm to the 3D realm, we have to kind of have to convert positions, I guess you could say. So if I go into our player, like our little FSM we're making, I've gotten the position of the player, but I need to know where it is, where that position is on the screen. So world to screen point, right? You don't got to fill out the camera. That's because the camera uses a tag, right? So we have tags all over the place, right? Player and stuff like that. Unity uses the main camera, and that's a special tag, and you can only have one thing that's tagged as main camera. I can tag a bunch as main camera, but they won't have this effect. But you have one thing that's main camera, and Unity knows there's special logic that we can just find the main camera, right? There's even an action for that, right? Get main camera, right? So I can just get the main camera, and that's because it's looking for the one object in the scene that's supposed to have just the main camera tag. So like I said, so we don't actually need to worry about that. So we're going to plug in our position, and we're going to get the screen point, and this is going to be done every frame. Now I'm also going to vector 3 add XYZ. Where's that? At the bottom, right? And we're going to take the screen point, and we're going to add just on the Y an offset value every frame, not per second, just every frame. And then we're going to set position of the health bar to the screen point space world every frame. Now the offset, if I go here and I click input, that's going to have, where's the player? So we have this offset here. Now if I hit play, we should now have a health bar over our tank, right? There it is. Now it's empty because our health is 0. But we don't want the health bar sitting right there, which is why we have this offset. So I can now adjust this and say, like, put it like there, right? So roughly about 30. Right, so let's default that to 30 now that we're out of play mode. And of course, now you don't want to set the UI every frame, but we obviously need to know that we got damaged. So we're going to make an event called update. No, go and do that. No, we don't want to do that. So I'm going to show you a very neat trick that's really useful for a lot of things. We're going to make an array list, a proxy array list, and I'm going to call this event. Okay. So in this object, since we're doing this anyways, the other thing we want to do here is we're going to get owner, and we just want to grab ourself. Doesn't need to be global, just ourself. So we've grabbed ourself, and we want to get root. So we more or less need to get our root object. This, and you'll see why that is. So array list add. Right. So we'll put him right at the bottom, and we're going to be looking at the root object, and it's going to have this event name. It's going to take a game object, and it's ourselves. So we're adding ourselves into this list. Okay, and every time there's an event, I think we called it damage. Let's take a look. What did we call it on health? Yeah, we called it damage. Perfect. All right, so we're going to add the damage event here as well. So let's take the health value, the operator, the slider, and actually move those over here. Yeah. Right, so now we have the next frame weight, and then here we have more or less to create the health bar, get all our references, set all our stuff, and then this is where the logic's going to come in. But you'll notice the get position and stuff is on every frame because it's following the player every frame, but the get the health, the operator, and the value aren't on every frame. So every time this event here triggers, everything here, including these, will actually run again. Right? So in the health, so we have damage. So the other thing we need to now is send event to game objects, and we need to put that above the compare. Right? So we're looking at everything in this list, and we're going to send the event of damage, and we're going to exclude ourselves. We don't need to re-get the damage. Right? And we can do that same thing in the heal. Only we'll send the heal. Alright. So that means in this guy, we also are going to want to know when we also got a heal. So we're just going to add it in like that. So we have damage and heal. Right? So now if I right click and say save template, and we can call this our health bar. Right? And then I'm going to actually just delete him. And I'm going to create an empty, add an FSM, use our little guy here, and say we want the health bar. So this is now our, actually I guess we should call it something a little different, health bar logic. So now we have a health bar prefab. So I can now go to my player, and I could literally just take this and drop it on, and he'll now have a health bar, right? I could also go to the enemy and drop one on there, and he'll also have a health bar now. And I'll show you how that looks. Let's put this health over here, and obviously let's take our health up to full. We don't need a default value of 0. That's just silly. Right, so let's turn this on, and we should see array list proxy not found, because the enemy does not have the proxy. We never put it on him, so we need to do that. But the player should have it. He should have his, right? So you can see he has his health bar logic. And if we look at the health bar logic, he's created the health bar. We got all the references. We're getting the position. And I don't know where they are. So why is that? Oh, you know what? Silly me. Where's the player? Notice the position, right? It's the same, right? Like I said, like this, it's really good habit. Make sure everything's zeroed off when you do prefabs. Zero them off, right? So the other thing we need to do is we need to make sure that this proxy is also on the enemy as well, or else he doesn't work. Right, so now we should have, let's go to our player. Canvas. Where is our health bars? Why are they way out there? And I'm guessing where's the virtual cam? Oh, right there. I'm almost wondering if that's, don't mind my errors, it's me playing around with other stuff. Let's see why. Alright, let's say, okay, he's there. I'm going to disable this camera for a second. So, camera. So we get position. I wonder if we should get the position of our root instead. Oh yeah, that makes that, put it right on top. Alright, so let's do that. So we're going to go into our health bar logic where we can edit the template, and we're just going to say get position, not of the owner, but of the root. Oh, not self, root. Right, so that's of the actual player. The beauty part of templates is that we'll change it for everything that's using that template, right? That's the whole point of templates, right? Because now it's on both of them. Right, and you can see it there. It's we don't have any health apparently, so let's see what's there. So we get the value, which is 0. Oh, see, I left it as get owner, right? Again, because it's a child object, we're not getting the health of the owner, we're getting the health of the root object. Let's make sure the rest of them are like that. Okay, I think we're good. There we go. So now if we look at the enemy, let's see what he did. Right, so we can see the enemy. Oh, I guess the enemy doesn't have the right health. So we have to do that. Because if we look at, well, here, let's just do this. Let's get rid of him. Duplicate the player for now. Disable his gun and the move. And let's move him out of the way. So, which is also one of the other things. We'll probably turn the health into a template as well, just to prevent little issues like that. But as you can see, now we have, oh, we hit once, hit twice, explode. Now, why did it not take damage on the other shots? Let's take a look. Well, that was working fine. So, but that might be in our explosion. Do we have any colliders in our explosion that could be blocking anything? Because if so, we need to get rid of those. No. Okay. So. Now, did we see a screen shake? Oh, I have the virtual camera turned off. That's would be why. So let's turn him back on. There we go. That's better. That stupid error keeps popping up. It's just annoying me. All right, so let's turn that guy on. Let's move him up here. We should probably organize this a little bit. So let's take those cubes, part of the scene map. I'm just using this like a folder. And I'll take the health pickups, and those can go in the interactable.